Glad to welcome you on another edition of The Scale of Justice. This week we shall conclude our discuss on the right to peaceful assembly as enshrined in Section 40 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, as it relates to Nigerian law society. As a way of ensuring equity in the delivery of justice in Nigeria, the National Judicial Institute, which is the training arm of the National Judicial Council, organized an induction course for some judicial officers. These and more will be coming your way on The Scale of Justice this week. Dele Atumbi is my name. Section 40 of the country's ground norm promotes right to peaceful assembly. What is the correlation of this provision on the formation of the Nigerian law society? The Scale of Justice speaks with the president of the Nigerian Law Society, Mela Haudu, SAN.
The Nigerian Law Society is a society that is an organization of lawyers that are called to bar in Nigeria. They are as distinct as the qualification criteria requires them to be. We came on board about 2 years ago with my learned brother Silk, Kule Ogumba, who was the interim president, and I just took in the mantle of leadership on the 1st of August by appointment as an interim organization. What we have been trying to achieve is in line with our vision and mission. And by the way, we're in the process of registration, and that has been our major obstacle. We applied to the Corporate Affairs Commission for registration, and the name was denied. And we felt not justified denying us exercising our rights of peaceful assembly and association under Section 40 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. So, as law-abiding citizens and as lawyers, we approached a court, the Federal High Court, through an originating summons. And the court delivered its judgment, I think 2022, saying that register these people, because there's nothing before it that will show that we should not be registered. Then they were dissatisfied with the judgment of the Federal High Court, which they are entitled to. And then they appealed to the Court of Appeal. Now the matter is in the Court of Appeal. So I can't say more than what has transpired from the Federal High Court, since it is before their lordships in the Court of Appeal to determine whether to sustain the judgment of the lower court or overrule the judgment of the lower court, which is the Federal High Court. So that has been our number one challenge. So it disrupts our fighting and realizing our visions. But the visions and missions of our association is to be the foremost professional organization of lawyers dedicated to upholding the rule of law and promoting justice, safeguarding human rights and interests of the Nigerian people. An organization like ours identifies with people whose rights are trampled on, and upholding the rule of law amounts to ensuring good governance in a democratic setting like ours. So that is what we stand for. We are yet to register milestones because of this teething problem of taking off. But we are solidly on ground. We have over 600 members who have registered as members of the Nigerian Law Society. And Nigerian Law Society is not the only law organization. We have many other law organizations. The whole essence of it is to bring it in tandem with global best practices. There is no jurisdiction you go to that you find only one law association. It is more or less saying that you compulsorily must belong to one association. And the nature of man is give him options. If you don't give me options, and you say I must belong here, even if it is the best thing, I can say I don't want. So the Nigerian Law Society, like the Nigerian Bar Association, like the Nigerian Association of Democratic Lawyers, like the Law Society of Nigeria, all are complementary to one another in pursuing the upholding of the rule of law and constitutional government. That is what we stand for. Yeah, in the first place, there's nothing good that comes easy. There's nothing good that comes easy. Most associations exist. BOSAN existed several years before it got registered. The Nigerian Bar Association itself also existed several years before it got registered. And I have been president, I've been chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association Abuja branch. I have served in various capacities. I was the one that was chosen by President Alege to settle the crisis in the Buhari branch of the Nigerian Bar Association. So is our association, we know that they cannot exist without some of these problems, even as old as it is. Talk less of the Law Society of Nigeria that is just about starting. I have told you the vision is to be the foremost professional organization of lawyers dedicated to upholding the rule of law and promoting justice, safeguarding human rights, and the interest of the Nigerian people. And our mission is to continually develop and implement strategies to assist lawyers in the delivery of their professional and social responsibilities for the achievement of a just and egalitarian society based on international best practices. Yes, these are our visions and our mission. And the teething problem is a matter of time. We are confident that we are operating within the ambit of the law. We are confident that their lordships will dispassionately do justice to the appeal, and by the time that is put aside, we'll be good to go without any hindrances, without any obstacles. But as you know, there are no roads in Nigeria that don't have potholes or speed bumps. That is what the Nigerian Law Society is going through. And I believe that we will surmount that. What will make us succeed is our determination to operate within the ambit of the law and reinforce the rule of law, good governance, and the protection of human rights, which is what is fundamentally enshrined in our Constitution. Well, as lawyers, because we go through rigorous training, the common line that runs through all law associations is the issue of upholding the rule of law. If a law is oppressive, if a law is not democratic, if a law is unconstitutional, if a law does not produce the result that will make citizens feel free to develop economically and politically, that is what we probably can approach either the National Assembly or go to court and ask the court to declare it as null and void. It has happened in the case of Christian Association of Nigeria versus the Corporate Affairs Commission, where multiple sections of the Corporate Affairs Act, CAMA, was set aside. That is the role of every lawyer. So essentially, every trained, qualified, and experienced lawyer is a human rights protector or activist. I'm not saying it in the sense of making statements, going on protests and so on, but we are safeguards to ensuring that what is right is done and what is wrong is not done, because we are the vanguard for society. Yes. In Borno, we receive reports from some of our branch members. They realized that most of the people who were arrested were innocent people who were going about their activities. But the overzealousness of some of the law enforcement agents made them to just carry many of them. Now, it became the responsibility of the lawyers to approach the law enforcement agents to differentiate between those who are innocent and those who are actually involved in the protest and were looting. And if that doesn't work, it's not for us to go on protest again. It's for us to approach the court, take appropriate legal steps, and file the applications for the enforcement of their fundamental human rights. And sometimes, in most cases, we do that pro bono, because some of these people that are in this kind of situation are those who may not be able to afford the fees for legal services. I'll give you another example. Once there was a border or community clash, and some people were just arrested by soldiers, not even police. Yes, it stopped the breakdown of law and order. They were detained for such number of time that exceeded the statutory period within which they should be detained. It was some of our members that applied before the Federal High Court for an order to get them released and to be compensated for having been detained without trial for this number of times. So that is the role of the Nigerian Law Society. And we collaborate with other organizations that have similar objectives. It's like in Islam you have different sects. In Christianity you have different sects, but they're serving who? The same and only one God. So from different angles, you try to ensure that the right thing is done. And through dialogue, sometimes you can win cases without even having to go to court. Everything sometimes depends on the approach. The truth of the matter is, as we stand today, there is hardship, there is difficulty, there is hunger, coupled with unemployment, and so many other vices come to play when these things are in place. Notwithstanding all of this, my advice to Nigerians is not to take the laws into their hands. It is not a reason to go on rampage. It is not a reason to go looting. It is not a reason to go destroying other people's things. Most of the time, when this happens, you discover that those who have either their shops or other things destroyed are probably just those who are completely innocent, like it happened in Kano. One of the shops was just close to the government house. And it was supposed to be a peaceful demonstration. Before you knew what was happening, people were already carrying the things from a private owner's shop, not even a government shop. And then, of course, we all saw that the ITC center that was built for the education of the people in Kano was completely destroyed. That cannot be a justification. So, no matter the difficulties we have, we should strive to obey the law of the land. Because when we don't obey the law of the land, then it means that we are having a state of anarchy. And a state of anarchy is not good for the governed and those who are administering justice. You don't know who will be the next victim. What qualifies a society to be democratically civilized is abiding by the rules. In Nigeria, especially in Abuja, even ordinary traffic light, people don't obey. So you don't say this law is big or this law is small and trample on some of them. A law is a law, and if you are caught, you are going to be dealt with according to the law. So my advice to Nigerians is to be law abiding. I will advocate people, big, small, old and young people, and even if you don't have work, to loot or to go on violent protests cannot become an answer in our dispensation. It is anti-development. We should be moving forward, not moving backward. That is my advice to Nigerians.
Away from issues relating to Section 40 of the Constitution, now to the issues bordering on the integrity of the judiciary. Protection of the image and integrity of the Nigerian judiciary through efficient and prompt delivery of justice is the propelling force for the justice sector. Acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, made the declaration in a message to the second induction class for the newly appointed judicial officers of the lower courts in Abuja. The judiciary is one of the pillars of democracy and an important component of the attainment of good governance. So being called to the bench is an honor and an onerous responsibility a judicial officer is saddled with. Prompt delivery of both criminal and civil justice is the hope of the people and most often that of the common man. It is in the light of this that the elevation of this set of judicial officers is expected to enhance justice and judicial system. To achieve this, the new judicial officers must come with the willingness to serve, a drive for excellence, and an irrevocable commitment to upholding the rule of law.
With hindsight and from experience, I'm well aware that the terrain in which you now find yourselves as newly appointed magistrates and judges of the lower courts is an unfamiliar one. From here on out, you will be expected to handle numerous cases, most of which will present certain ethical dilemmas that require you to make sensitive and difficult decisions. Consequently, there's no gainsaying the fact that your new offices invariably demand a good grasp and understanding of substantive and procedural law and other ethical values and considerations, all of which are crucial to the effective performance of your duties.
I urge you to see our appointment not an avenue to gratify your personal desires, but rather as an opportunity to serve and to contribute their quota to the development of the Nigerian judiciary. Furthermore, you must avoid acts that will influence the integrity of the judiciary and lower it in the estimation of the public. Refuse to condone any act that may delay the timely conclusion of both civil and criminal proceedings before you.
In line with the theme of the induction course, all judicial officers are expected to work hard towards repositioning the courts for better justice delivery. Moving on now to the decisions from our various courts.
1,216 residents of some oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta have filed a claim at the Federal High Court Abuja, claiming 500 billion naira as damages against the Shell Petroleum Development Company for breach of the Mariva Injunction. The Mariva Injunction is an interlocutory relief granted by courts in the country in order to freeze the assets of a defendant during a civil proceeding, and its primary function is to maintain the integrity of the court process by preventing the defendant from dissipating the assets mentioned in the case. This followed a reported $2.8 billion investment deal between Shell Petroleum Development Company and a group of Nigerian corporate entities, which the host communities are kicking against. The communities claim that the recent transaction between Shell and the companies is a clear breach of the subsisting Mariva Injunction granted by the Federal High Court Akure on the 28th of September 2023, an order that restrained Shell from divesting its assets in Nigeria until the conclusion of the case. Now, the communities, who say their fishermen are seeking a perpetual injunction restraining Shell and any intending investor from further negotiations towards the disposal of the said assets in breach of the injunction, as they also allege that they suffered great losses due to oil spillage from ruptured oil pipelines belonging to Shell. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has granted bail to 10 persons who are standing trial for taking part in the nationwide protests which took place between the 1st and the 10th of August 2024. The protesters, who claimed to be protesting against the economic situation in the country, were allegedly implicated in looting incidents, destruction of public property, and treasonable conduct. Agreeing with the defense counsel that anyone charged with a criminal offense is presumed innocent until proved guilty, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court granted bail to the 10 defendants at 10 million naira each, along with one surety in like sum. He also ordered them to refrain from participating in any public rally or protests throughout their trial.
On a sad note, the judiciary has lost one of its own who contributed immensely to the legal practice in Nigeria. He is Yunus Ustaz Usman, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Apart from being vibrant in courts, he was a public commentator on government policies and programs in defense of Chapter 2 of the Constitution. The report.
Whatever EFCC or ICPC will do should be based upon salvaging that situation, prevent people from stealing monies from this country or from African countries to outside countries. That is the aim.
Born on November 15, 1957 in Obogodo village, the Kina local government area of Kogi State, Yunus Ustaz Usman had a remarkable life marked by achievements and dedication to the legal profession. He was the principal partner of Yunus Ustaz Usman, SAN and Company, with offices in Kaduna and Abuja. He will be remembered for his interventions in the lives of many Nigerians, particularly the downtrodden. He was known for fighting for indigent students who couldn't pay school fees and paying bills for patients held hostage due to the inability to pay hospital bills. Called to the Nigerian bar on July 30, 1983, Yunus Usman rose to the pinnacle of the profession, becoming the 5th person from northern Nigeria to be conferred with the prestigious rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. He also delivered a keynote address at the University of Brighton in 2016, becoming the first black lawyer to address the university in his history lecture series. He was a public commentator on national issues and blunt each time he appeared on television to speak on issues that affect Nigerians. He says it as it is, irrespective of whether the government of the day or individuals involved were his clients.
The money that ought to have been used for many things are being subsumed into this high-dead topic of security votes that ordinary people like you and I do not really agree as to their usage.
His death is no doubt a big loss to the media industry, particularly the Nigerian Television Authority, where he was a regular guest on several of its programs, thereby cultivating relationship with staff. Colleagues who trooped out when the news of his death was announced praised Usman's exceptional legal expertise, professionalism, and contributions to the development of the legal profession in Nigeria. The late Leonard Sikh has been laid to rest in Kaduna.
Adieu, my Leonard Sikh, who was the voice of the voiceless. On this note, we have come to the end of this edition of The Scale of Justice. See you next week for another edition. Daily Atunde is my name.